So how many of you here have pets? Okay, so basically everybody here. Now, how many of you have adopted a pet from an animal shelter? Okay, so definitely not as many. So, well, according to the ASPCA, approximately 7.6 million animals each year enter shelters, and each year only 2.7 million of those animals get adopted out each year. My name is Olivia Murray, and I am here today to talk to you about the benefits of animal shelters. There are many concerns that people have when adopting from an animal shelter, such as not knowing what type of pet you'd be getting or not wanting a badly behaved pet, like a stray. However, you can learn so much about an animal from a shelter because of the staff and volunteers that socialize and train these animals for days and even weeks on end, which means that they get plenty of time to play, sleep, explore, stretch their legs, all while being in the presence of animals, or of humans. And while this is happening, the staff and volunteers document their behavior and upload it to the animal's personality profile, so the adopter knows exactly what type of animal that they'd be getting. You can tell if an animal is going to be shy, outgoing, or somewhere in between. Every cat cubby, for example, has a little name tag with their name, weight, gender, age, all that, and a little profile about if they're going to be shy or outgoing, like I said. So it's really easy for us to match exactly what type of pet you're looking for with an adopter when they come in. So if we have a lot of cats at the moment, it's really easy. If we have fewer, it's still pretty easy because all the volunteers know exactly what type of pets we have in the shelter. Okay, just don't do it then. So of course these concerns are completely valid, but shelters shouldn't be written off as a place where strays are simply piled into cages and left to be adopted someday. There's a lot more to it than that. It's a really great option considering the fact that you'd be saving the life of a homeless animal that's in need. And like I said before, SPCAs aren't just rooms filled with stray dogs and cats. Shelters have standards set by the ASPCA. For example, enrichment and cleaning standards are uniform throughout all SPCAs that are a part of the ASPCA. Basically, any SPCA is going to be a part of the ASPCA. If you go to a shelter and it just says like Hooksett Animal Shelter, it might not be a part of the ASPCA, but it's like the Pope Memorial SPCA, that's definitely a part of the ASPCA. So these standards greatly improve the physical and mental health of the animals that are in the shelter by keeping their living spaces clean and organized and allowing plenty of playtime and human interaction time. This also greatly improves the chances of them being adopted because they're happier and they're healthier. So when people walk by, they see the cats with toys, fresh food and water and litter and stuff, not just a cat and a towel in a metal cage. Other standards and policies regarding adoption fees and opportunities make finding an animal that fits your needs much easier. If you go into your local pet store like a Petco or a PetSmart and you see the little cubbies with cats on the side, those are most likely from an animal shelter. They're not just from the back room of the Petco, which I actually didn't know until like about a year ago. But so if you go into like the Hooksett Petco or something, a lot of those cats are from the Pope Memorial SPCA or the Concord PetSmart or whatever. So that's why I learned this and more from volunteering at the Pope Memorial SPCA, which is what my senior project was. I learned how much work goes into a shelter and how many people are there to help out. At first, I figured there would be maybe 50 volunteers plus a couple of staff members, but I quickly learned that we have over 300 volunteers currently volunteering there and about 25 full-time staff members. I also unfortunately got to see the sometimes horrible conditions that these animals can come into the shelter in, such as fur loss from malnourishment, flea infestations, tick infestations, scabs and ripped ears, broken bones, and all of that. However, I was lucky enough to help restore these animals into happy and loving friends, and it was a truly gratifying experience seeing a new family adopt a new puppy or a nice old woman find a nice old cat. Sometimes I would be sad because I wouldn't get to play with my favorite animals 3 times a week, but of course I was happy that they found a new home with loving family members. So for my senior project, I wanted to raise donations to support the shelter that I have volunteered for so long at. To do this, I made 2 donation boxes and set them up outside of the office and in the library. You probably saw them around. And I also hosted a movie night here at the auditorium where I screened The Lion King. I wanted to make it some sort of animal movie since my senior project's all about animals. And I raised over 45 donations, which is really good for such a small shelter, such as the Pope Memorial SPCA. And since it's a nonprofit organization, which most shelters and SPCAs are, it'll definitely help out a lot. So I learned all of the benefits of shelters, such as supporting a local organization and saving the life of homeless pets through volunteering there, but I also learned that a lot of people don't support SPCAs, and they don't think that they're the best way to go. Although breeders can give you the perfect pet, the animals in shelters desperately need to find a home, and I really wanted to help them. And I do understand, of course, that some people have allergies, so finding a hypoallergenic dog is like really important, and you can't really find those at a shelter all the time. But it is always better, I think, to adopt from a shelter than to shop around and pay a lot more money from a breeder. So I just wanted to talk about a couple of cat stories from the more memorable cats that I saw from volunteering. So this one right here, her name is Juno. She was about 2 years old when she came into the shelter, and she was a really pretty cat, as you can tell. So pretty, I love her so much. She was a calico cat, obviously, and you don't really see a lot of those in the shelters just because they're not as common. And so I always noticed that she was lying in her little bed. You can see that in the picture that she's like in the cubby. You can kind of see the bed in the background. She was always sitting there. She would never really get up. And so my goal for her was to get her out of her cubby and onto the floor and exploring, maybe even playing if she wanted to. And so eventually I did get to do that, which I was really proud of. And she became the most affectionate cat. She's very vocal. She would meow when she wanted attention, which I loved. And all the while in my family, we were looking for a new companion for my cat Smokey, because my old cat Butterbot recently passed away last summer. So we decided to adopt Juno because I thought she would be a good fit, because she was pretty easygoing, and so is my cat Smokey. But it ended up that my cat Smokey just like hates girls, I guess. So he like hated her. They would fight. Oh my God, it was the worst. So we had to actually bring her back to the shelter, which I was very sad about, and it was also hard going back the next few weeks and seeing her back there in her cubby. But she did get adopted by a nice old man who had no other animals, which was really awesome. So this is Whitey. He was also super cute. He was about 2 years old as well. And he was abandoned outside of an apartment building with just his little green collar and a bag of food. So it was pretty sad because, like, why would you do that? But he was actually really affectionate for a stray cat. And that picture of him standing up is my favorite picture that I took while I was at the SPCA. It's so adorable. And he got adopted very fast just because he was so affectionate, and he was also very young. So I think a family with 2 younger kids adopted him, so I was super happy to see that. And I helped them along with the whole process. So this is Adam. This is the only good picture I have of him because he would never stop moving. But he was really cute. He was 6 years old, so he was a little older, and he was massive. He was like 18 pounds, but he wasn't fat. He was just really big. And he was really friendly. You would open the cubby door, and he would just immediately come out and sit in your lap, walk around and play the whole time. That's all he did. And he was super friendly, but he was really picky about what kind of family he wanted. He said no kids under 12, no dogs, and no cats. So he was there for about a month and a half, but I was really happy because I got to play with him a lot. But then he did get adopted, and I wasn't there for it, so it was sad to see him go without me being there to say bye, but he was super cute. And so those are some of my favorite cats that I met at the shelter. So next time you're thinking about adopting a pet, consider going to an animal shelter first. Thank you. Are there any questions? Yep.
How long do animals usually stay in a shelter before they get adopted?
I would say normally about just a couple weeks. There are some other cases like Adam. He was there for a little over a month. And there was one cat named Paige. She was there for, I don't know how long exactly, but she was there from May last year until December. So she was there for a long time, and she was 15 years old. Sadie?
Do you know the specific breeds of like cats that you have at the shelter? Or
Not always. We did have like a Siamese cat and then a calico cat. Juno was calico. Normally we don't know the exact breeds though, because all cats are very similar. But if it is very identifiable, like a calico or a Siamese, then we do. But most of the time it's just like American short hair or American long hair, which is pretty bland. But any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Okay, all right, guys, that's it for today.